What's up, guys? It's been a little bit. I haven't put a video out probably in like 3 weeks. The only thing that I really can equate to that off the top of my head, which might not be valid or you guys even care about, but we did have a kid. So Samuel James Moore, SJ for short. Welcome to the world. It's gonna be fun. He's growing like crazy, guys. It's unbelievable. Like when you see him come home and he's just tiny, and then he goes to like, I mean, I don't know, puts on like a pound, and that kid looks like he's a completely different child. Like he's developing facial features. He's laughing a little bit, or like kind of like smiling at least what you think might be intentional versus just like a weird face he makes when he poops or something. But today we're doing another unboxing, and we're gonna go from the unboxing to actually my top 3 rods for largemouth and top 3 rods for smallmouth going into opener. Now opener is only a few days away, so I know you guys don't have a ton of time to re-rig and such, but keep this in mind. One, if you're rigging rods to go fish opener this weekend in Minnesota, or if you're going to, you get on the lake and you can't find some fish and you need to be able to switch around, just keep this stuff in mind, because it's one of those things that I've learned over the last 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 8, whatever many years you want to say. Fishing in Minnesota this time of year, everyone's like, oh dude, spring, jacking on them, dude, like freaking giants ever. Like, I get it. There's a lot of possibilities to catch a lot of really big fish right now. But for someone who hasn't had a lot of experience fishing cold water in Minnesota, it can kind of be frustrating sometimes. So that's what I'm going to go over that. But first, I got a box I want to show you guys. No, that's not. I mean, that is one of the. That's it. Yeah. It's kind of loud. I'm just gonna start. You guys know that I am not only did I used to work for 13 Fishing. A lot of my good friends still work there. A lot of homies. Ricky's probably one of my best friends. Matt, I get along with great. A lot of cool people still working there and doing amazing things. And I try and help out when I can. I shoot some of the stuff for them once in a while. But for the most part, like, I've just always been a 13 guy, from the brand, from the product, everything. But when you no longer work for the company, you have to rely on your buddies once in a while to like send you some goodies, right? Like, whether it be a new rod or new reel, and there's a little bit of that. And again, they feel bad for me because I'm up north and they're like, yeah, you're test a couple things or whatever. And that's awesome. But it makes me feel weird asking for like a bunch of things. So this year, I was like, screw it. I'm gonna put aside a budget. I'm gonna make a big order. All the product I've had from when I worked there and from like I've gotten received over the years, I've always had plenty of stuff to fish, and I've been very grateful for it. But there's little like gaps here and there that like ideally I want to fill those gaps, get everything outlined. They came out with baits, which are freaking bad to the bone. We'll get into that. And I wanted to fill those gaps. And there's just so much of the product line that I hadn't even used because it's been 2 years since I've been down in Florida. So I literally just ordered all over the place. They have the new website up. It was really easy, looked great, and just got a bunch of stuff. Okay. So this is like, again, something I've never, geez, I got stuff flying everywhere. Coalition baits, it's something completely new. I've never fished those. Very excited about that. We got some cliff bangers, which is what most people would call like your standard, well, like a DT or something that goes from your 6 to 8, 10 foot crankbait. Got a bunch of those. Throwing packaging everywhere. Ooh! I can tell you right now, I'm gonna be using this one probably this weekend actually. The Scamp in a 70 size. Another cliff banger in the 60. Dude, these are just, I know you can't really see exactly what I'm going through, but they're just super good looking. I'm gonna get the big box and just like, all right, this could go terribly wrong. All of the stuff, just do it all. Just give it all the, okay. That probably wasn't the best idea, but I can organize this. Time lapse to organization now. Okay, that's like way more better. There's a lot here, and like I said, there's a lot of things that I've had little bits and pieces of, but I really wanted to round out like, okay, I want like 3 bags of this one color, because like if you get one bag randomly, like from Ricky sent me, oh hey, here's a couple to mess with this color, take a picture of it. It's like, okay, that's cool, but like I needed like, more than, the ADD in me is like, I needed like the right amount of numbers of packages. So again, this is a lot of gear, and I'm not gonna go through all of it. I'm just gonna highlight a few of my things that I'm most excited for. Okay, so yeah, let's talk rods, reels, line, baits, setups. This will be my top 3 rods that I think you should probably give some time of day into thinking about if you're going to be on the water this spring. Stupid. Okay, let's talk 3 rods for largemouth and 3 rods for smallmouth. I'm gonna start with smallmouth because I like brown fish. Okay, right here is number 1. I'm gonna put the link to what I'm talking about in the description too, so you guys actually can click on them and see them yourself. Or if you just want to like gloss over like exactly what it was I was talking about, you can look for there as well. This is a jerkbait rod. It's a 610 medium, thrown on a 7-3-1 concept A. The rod's an Omen. It's a 610 medium Omen. And this is their jerkbait. This is their deep diving jerkbait. This is the Loco Special. As I said, a little bit of a Spanish accent. It dives, I think, somewhere between like that 8 to 12 foot mark. They make a shallow one and a deep one. But the reason the jerkbait's so effective, especially for smallmouth, is because it's subtle. You can fish it slow. It can be erratic if you want it to. You want to really crank on it or whatever. But for the most part, it's just a jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause. Switch up your routine a little bit. But it's one of those things that it's just a really good cold water bait. I'm not going to put these in any kind of order specifically. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, jerkbait's the best versus the next one, whatever. These are the 3 that I think are a must to have in the spring. And everyone's got their own opinion too. But yeah, I have this on 12-pound line. So this is the 12-pound fluorocarbon. They're clear fluorocarbon. It's soft. It casts really well. You want something a little thinner because you want fluorocarbon 1 because it sinks. It helps the bait get down a little deeper. But something that's a little bit thinner, that's easy to cast, because the last thing you want is only be able to cast, 25 feet in front of you. You want to make as long a cast as possible. So that thin line helps kind of maximize that. So that is number 1, a jerkbait. So lean these up like behind me. It could make like a montage of them, like all leaned out. All right, number 2. All right, number 2 is going to be a hair jig. And the reason I'm going this route and not the route of a Ned rig, which yes, I'm giving away that Ned rig is not part of my top 3. Ned rig's a great bait, don't get me wrong. It's a phenomenal bait, in fact. And if there was a 4th, it should be on here. But I wanted to give kind of different style baits, not just like some small finesse things you can put on a spinning rod. So I think a hair jig is underutilized a lot. I think a lot of guys talk about throwing hair, but I think the novice person throws a hair jig around, gets bored of it in like 5 casts and says like, the heck with this, I'm gonna throw a Ned rig, or I'm gonna throw a jerkbait or something, whatever it is. When you're on a group of fish, or you have a group of fish located, and you can actually target that specific area, a hair jig is one of those ways that allows you to like slow down, so to speak. And the reason I'm fumbling my words here is because I'm trying to explain like exactly where this excels. Because there's times where I'll be throwing a Ned head and I'll find a group of fish and I'll be kind of chasing around, pushing them around in like 10, 12 foot of water, when they're kind of grouped up before they move up or whatever. And they won't touch it. They just won't do anything with it. You'll get like an odd random one, but you can't really fire up that school. You throw a hair jig and it's just the most absolute subtle little floaty thing going by that it often can be the difference between firing up that school and getting those bites that like there's flat out wouldn't eat anything else. But when you jerkbait, it was too aggressive. It's about as finesse as you can get, other than maybe like fly fishing, which is again a whole other genre. But I have this on. It's a 610 medium light. That soft tip, I won't be able to feel it. I won't be able to lean into those fish. Hair jigs usually have a pretty small hook in them, so I'm not trying to horse anything in. I have this on 9-pound braided line, and with a, I believe, 9-pound fluorocarbon leader. They're white. It's an 8-strand. It's super smooth. I like that thin diameter because it allows you to really freaking bomb it. And if I had something that was a little thicker, like 10, 15, whatever, anything else you'd buy, I just don't think I get the distance I'd want to. So I have 10-pound braid on that. This is a size 2000 prototype. Oh, I'm missing my little cap there. That's nice. Still rattled off. It's a size 2000. A lot of guys, as of late, have been throwing more 3000, 4000 size, big arbors. I get the reason why they're doing that. I just don't like the heaviness of that rod. So if you're ever in a situation where you really want to pick up that much more line per turn or whatnot, and you're thinking that that's something that you want to look into, go ahead and look at the advantages of that. There's probably plenty of videos up, but for now, I'm still using a size 2000 on a small spinning rod. So like I said, 610 medium light, little hair jig. This one's actually tungsten. It's made out of a company out of Montana. You can tell it's got all kinds of poof to it. So a great way to trigger fish that are just typically not willing to cooperate with anything. Even how finesse you get, drop shot, Ned rig, whatever you want. A hair jig can sometimes make the difference in that bite. So that was number 2. Number 3 is going to be a little swim bait. This is probably one of my most absolute favorite way to catch smallmouth, especially early season. Jerkbait's fun. I mean, all of it's fun. Anything you're catching fish pre-spawn is fun. But a swim bait, it's the constant reeling and you're like 100% in tune with what your bait's doing in the water, and then it's usually just a kaboom. I hear jig can be a little lighter. A jerkbait, you're moving a lot, so sometimes it's more just a pressure thing. You can't really feel them smack it. With a Swimbait, it's a constant retrieve, and they train wreck it. There isn't a lot of soft bites on a bait like this, especially this time of year. It's a small profile. I have this on a Josh Douglas Goldeneye shed actually, and this is the 13 Fishing Churro. It's a smaller size. It's like they're 3/8, I want to say. I like the smaller one. I don't think you need to throw a big 4-inch. If you're really trying to chase giant fish or something, or you think they want something bigger, go for it. But when this cold water for where I'm fishing in my neck of the woods, pre-spawn, I like that smaller bait. This is on an 8 1-to-1 Concept Boss. The reason I fish an 8 1-to-1, I don't fish a lot of 7.3s. I had that one earlier from the jerkbait, but anything that I'm casting and retrieving a lot, doesn't matter what time of year, I like 8 1-to-1 because I can always slow down. Now a lot of guys will argue like, no, it's nice to have a good tempo and let the reel do the work. I don't mind slowing down, and I like to be able to, let's say like you're making a cast at a boulder and you cast at it and then you reel past it and you realize you don't think you're probably gonna get bit other than that specific boulder, or like you made a cast and the first couple feet of what you really want to fish, you want to reel it back real quick. Being able to save time with having a fast gear ratio just makes sense, and it's efficient, which I like. So Concept Boss is freaking phenomenal. I love these reels. I love the way they look, but I also love the way they feel too. But I love the way they look. I put the power handles on there. I have that on pretty much all of the Concept Bosses that I have, just because I feel like that's a big old knob. I like when I'm winding. I've gotten married to those big knobs, and I don't think I'll ever go back on that line. So this is 12-pound line again. This is their clear fluorocarbon. Again, 12-pound because it's thin diameter. I can get that bait low. I can maximize the weight I have for it. You need fluorocarbon because it sinks, less abrasion resist, or more abrasion resistance and less stretch, which allows you to get that bait down further, feel a bit more, the whole 9 yards. There's truly no reason to be throwing mono or braid on a situation like this. And I have this on a 7-foot medium mod rod. Now, some people may say that's too short. I like having something, if I had a bigger Swimbait on or something that I was really trying to make some like really giant long cast with like a 1/2 ounce jig head and get really far deep down there, I would probably be more apt to throw a little bit longer rod to get that bait out there a little bit further. This is kind of like what I would call like my precision Swimbait rod. I have another one that's exact same setup, just a bigger jig head, bigger bait, and then I have it on a little bit longer rod to get out further. But this is probably the one I use 80% of the time. I'm usually fishing it between 6 to 12, maybe 14 foot of water. So I don't think I need to bomb anything out too far. I'm not throwing that big of a jig head. If I had a bigger jig head, I'd throw a bigger rod. And that mod action on the rod just gives a nice parabolical thing. You know, when they hit it like that, if I had a little stiffer rod, I might just pull it right out of their mouth. Well, I think they'll crush it, but they're not exactly inhaling the thing like we're like they're getting on their throat. Like I like to have a little bit of forgiveness when I'm throwing that thing in deeper water. So that is the last smallmouth bait. Again, there's a lot of things I didn't mention, a lot of baits I didn't mention. People are gonna be like, what the frick, you didn't throw a tube in there? They're not a football head. Like guys, there's a lot of ways to catch smallmouth. Don't get me wrong. These are just my favorite. So if you're on the water and it's cold, because it is cold in Minnesota still, and you're in pre-spawn mode for smallmouth, give those 3 techniques a try. I think you're gonna like what you find, especially if you haven't already. So let's move on to buckets, to green carp, to Larry the Legends, to crushed my knee. The very first largemouth bait I will suggest is a square bill. In Minnesota, a lot of people hear me talk about find the most northern bay with the dirtiest water and go throw yourself a bluegill colored square bill. Now they're like, hey guys, this is not a bluegill colored square bill. Well, it's because I just didn't feel like retying it to my bluegill color. I'm fishing smallmouth in the next couple of days, and that's what this rod's for. And so like, I like that color for smallmouth as well. Again, wasn't my top 3, but I want to have this option. But ideally for largemouth, I'd have a little bluegill colored scamp on there. So 1.5, it's a little smaller. Again, guys, find the most weedy, possible growth, possible area to warm up the fastest part of your lake, pre-spawn like that, and usually that's where the biggest largemouth come out. And you'll notice because you'll catch one, they'll be super pale. It's because they just moved into these little bays, and that northern side of the lake should warm up faster just because of sunlight and such. But 12-pound fluoro again. This is that Lines 12-pound fluoro. I love it. It's soft. I can cast it a mile. It's got good abrasion resistance. It's great for moving baits. This is a 7.3 medium Omen cranking rod. So again, it's gonna be a little bit longer, so I can make those longer casts in those bigger bays. But at the same time, that crankbait medium action, I would call it, it's a medium, but it's a cranking rod. So it has a moderate feel to it for sure. Lets you bow up on those fish. These fish are grabbing it, their entire mouths are grabbing it. You want to just slowly go lean into them, let the treble hooks do the work. If you sit there with like braid or like a heavy rod, rip it out of there, you'll just rip their mouth. They'll just destroy you. So again, a mod action's good. And again, 7.3 medium mod or cranking rod from Omen. This is a Concept Boss. Again, I have it on 8:1:1. Cranking, you could go to 7.3. I like the faster gear ratios, and quite frankly, I'd rather slow down than waste my time with sitting there making sure I'm on the right tempo because I have a 7.3 versus an 8.1. Maximizes your efficiency on those bad casts, those areas you don't want to fish anymore. It's just smart. So that is the Scamp. They make a 2.5 as well that's bigger. That all kinds of phenomenal colors. These things are freaking sweet. And the bigger size I'll throw maybe on their 7.4 cranking rod. I think maybe I have a 7.5 in the Omen series. It's a little bit bigger. You could throw it on here too, but this 7.3 is perfect for those little 1.5s. All right, rod number 2 is going to be a jig. And a lot of people might kind of question why I have this set up this way. A lot of lakes that I fish, when you get past like the Brainerd Lakes area, dock's already in and there's like laydowns like timber and stuff like that. This time of year, depending on how early you're at, remember I told you that, you know, the whole crankbait bite up in the northern bays, a lot of times on the sunniest of days, when the water is still relatively cold, you're not getting close to spawning yet. They're not like just roaming around feeding on bait fish like normal pre-spawn. They're like, I need to warm up now. So not only am I getting the shallow bays, but I'm gonna go on a piece of structure, like sit right next to it, because that's warming up and it's baking in the sun. Our days are really long right now. And so those couple hours of windows opportunities can sometimes maximize that time. So pitch a jig. It's something I can pitch to, something that's heavy. This is actually the Fighter's, I think it's their heavy duty one. He's got like more of like a light duty one than like a heavy duty one. Reinforced weed guard and stuff. And so black and blue is always a good color. 50-pound test braid. If I was fishing clear water, or if I was fishing areas that are like a really, you know, submerged vegetation where like I was more flipping pockets of old vegetation, then I might go something like a fluorocarbon, make a little, you know, less of a presentation on it, a little easier for, or less easier for the fish to see. But in this situation, again, timber, logs, you're looking to bonk that fish on the head, get a reaction bite. He's just sitting there trying to warm up and you crack his freaking keister. So I don't mind going straight braid that way. In fact, that's what I want. 7.5 medium heavy. If I was throwing fluoro on the same setup, I would throw, it would be like on a heavy, but use the line or the rod to compensate for your hook sets there. So I'm okay going with a medium heavy if I'm using braid because there's no stretch. So it's this Muse Black 7.5 medium heavy. Again, on a Concept Boss 8:1:1. I freaking love these reels. Power handles are great. And yeah, for pitching these jigs on top of like pieces of something warm while they're trying to warm up and get the season going, this is a really, really fun bite, and it's a really fun way to catch them. So that is that. 50-pound braid, I think I said that. Yeah. All right, last but not least, the number 3 rod. I won't do number 3 rod for largemouth. And I just realized before I did this video that I can't show you guys this reel because it's kind of super duper secret. This is something that's new that's coming out that I'm messing around with. I'm hoping that by like dissecting this footage, I'm not gonna get in trouble, but I think I got it covered up pretty well. Chatterbait. I think it's probably one of the best ways to cover water. Those same northern bays, that area I was telling you about, if the cover's thick and it's shallow, you know, you're not like that 3 to 5 foot range, but like that 2 to 4 foot range, and you want to be able to rip some stuff, you know, of a jig like this through it. A bladed jig is just way too good. I have this on 15-pound line. This is their clear fluoro again. I like it. It's soft. I can cast it a mile. It's got good abrasion resistance. It works great for this. I do step it up to 18 sometimes if I'm in a lake that's got like a lot of cabbage or some things that have like little thicker roots, or if I'm going into an area that's got more like lily pad roots, not just like old hydrilla or foil or something like that. So it might depend on that. But again, this is an 8:1:1 reel. I can't say what it is because it hasn't come out yet. Hopefully you can't see it. But 8:1:1 reel. This is the Envy cranking rod. This is their 7.4 medium heavy mod, I want to say, is how they call it. My buddy Ricky makes all these rods and it owns that kind of category, and it's just freaking phenomenal. He's a fanatic about his actions and stuff. And this crankbait series 7.4 is perfect for like a 1/4, 3/8 ounce chatterbait. This is a jack camera I got. I forget what trailer I got on here, but black and blue, whatever you want to call it, do the bluegill color, shiner, it doesn't really matter. Match that for what you're doing, for what kind of water clarity you have. But a chatterbait is probably, if I am going to rank the top 3 for largemouth, probably the top 1 for sure. So yeah, that is it. Chitty chat is the way we're going to end it right there. So that's it. That is the top 3 rods for smallmouth and largemouth that I think you should probably have tied on when we're dealing with pre-spawn conditions here in Minnesota. By the time you've seen this video, it could already be opener. It could be right before opener. If you have time to switch, great. If not, like I said, keep that in the back of your mind. I just put these rods and reels and lines and stuff like that on there just to help you kind of figure out what I throw that stuff on. Everyone has a little different preference, and I don't think there's necessarily one right way to do it. So find out what works out best for you. But those baits for sure, if that's something that you're not throwing right now, this time of year with cold water in Minnesota, you definitely should. And keep in mind too, in the Midwest right now, where I am in Minneapolis, I got water temps that are creeping up close to 60. Where you're in northern Minnesota, and you may have water temps that haven't even hit 50 yet. So there's a lot of diversity in Minnesota, from big lakes to small lakes. And if you have any kind of questions, or you're thinking about like searching on a body of water that you've never been on before, or that you need like some information on, you guys need to go look at the Omnia Fishing page. And I just realized now that I'm actually wearing the hoodie I have in the whole. Okay, so that's not. I promise that wasn't intentional. But the reason I say it is because I did it this morning. I'm going to fish Mille Lacs on opener. I do it pretty much every year. But truth be told, I'm no expert in Mille Lacs. I've been fishing it hard for like 3 or 4 years. But like, there's guys that would absolutely blow me out of the water, that show me things that I've gone over and never even seen or something. You know, it's just a lot of information to take on, especially on a body of water like that. But if you go on the Omnia page and you go search by lake, and like Mille Lacs, you're gonna see all these like fishing reports of just like, not just random guys that are like trolling, like people who fish this stuff constantly. Guys who are names to be known out there, guys who win tournaments out there. From reviews on what the water they're doing versus water temperature, to seasonal stuff, to this is what you need in your boat. A lot of information there. And if you're not going to Mille Lacs, if you're going to other lakes, you zoom out on that map and like you can see all these lakes that people have done the same amount of information on. You can right there see what baits are recommended, what colors are recommended. You have an article from a guy and he'll actually list exactly what he used, and all the links are right there for you to buy it. So like, it's just super easy for someone who might not be familiar with a body of water to get more familiar and get comfortable before he goes out to something like that. Because I know it can be intimidating. And I know this time of year, in the back of your mind, you're excited to go freaking bass fishing, and it's opener and you're ready for it. But you know, you make a trip or two and you struggle, and it's like, well, I don't get it. Like, everyone's posting freaking pictures of these giant females that are coming up and eating like crazy because it's pre-spawn, and I can't figure it out. I've been there. This time of year, although it can be phenomenal, can be very frustrating as well. So again, that Omnia page is just a really good reference to get yourself a home base, reflect on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, see what other people are doing, and make up your own game plan and hopefully find some success doing it. So guys, if you have any questions on any of the gear that we talked about today, that's behind me, don't hesitate to ask, comment below. If you have any rods that you need me to go in more depth, why I use a certain way, or any lures or line or reels or whatever you saw that you want me to go in more depth, comment below. I'll try to make a video eventually. Hopefully gonna be doing more of these soon. And yeah, if I don't talk to you before opener, freaking happy opener. It's here. We're the only state in the country that has an opener for bass, but whatever, that's cool, I guess. Yeah. Have a good opener, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.
We get along, we get along. How do you feel? How do you feel? You hit my phone, you hit my phone.